Hi, I'm August Keller, and this is my review of Snow White 2025. So, this movie is a product first, and the story, the viewing experience, that all comes second. And that's a pretty important distinction for me. Kind of one of the big reasons I got into film criticism in the first place is because of that distinction. So yeah, the story feels very shoved in there. Like it's just kind of filling in the gaps around the product. And let me explain why. So the script gestures at themes like inner beauty and equality, and it gestures at drama like loss and love, but it doesn't actually engage with those concepts in a meaningful way. Instead, it really feels like this muddled hodgepodge of recycled material and underdeveloped updates. There are too many characters, and a lot of them disappear for long stretches of time, like the Seven Dwarves. They are not really very central to the story. The messages, like I said, are kind of bluntly set up, and they're just kind of there for a while, and then they're superficially paid off. And I don't think it's enough to say, "Hey, equality is important," and then at the end say it again, but this time have the good guys in a more powerful position say it. I don't think that's enough to really like make that a theme. You need to explain why equality is important, or explain how equality can be corrupted. You need to like unpack something about that idea. And this just kind of says, hey, equality, and that's not enough for me to really say that's a theme. The characters, they don't have any internal conflicts. They don't have any layers, and they don't have any arcs. So they all feel very flat. And that really flattens everything. There's a lot of modernization to the romance, which I think is a positive, but it also feels very cosmetic. Because, like I said, the story doesn't have any genuine messages. It doesn't have any genuine characters. It doesn't have any arcs. So having an updated elements to the romance, that's good, but it doesn't lead to anything more. It doesn't say anything because it's just kind of there. Because it doesn't lead to an arc or a message or a theme. It just kind of, that's it. Which again is a positive, but a smaller positive than it could have been. There's predictability, obviously. I mean, this movie is a remake, so it's like beat for beat the same story we all know. And I know some people are going to say, hey, you can't blame a movie that's being a remake for being predictable, but I don't think that's true, because Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio from just a couple years ago went in a lot of interesting places while still being the same story we all know. Essentially, there's a lot of different things in it. The triumph feels very unearned. I think when the good guy beats the bad guy, it needs to come from something internal. Like it helps when it coincides with an arc. The good guy, or the hero or the heroine, they have a flaw they need to address, and in addressing that flaw, it helps them overcome an external conflict. But there's no internal conflict, so the external conflict isn't based off anything really emotional or intimate. It just kind of happens. And on that note, the resolution feels very neat and tidy. Everyone lives happily ever after, but because it's not really dealing with things like inequality, it's not addressing any real issues. This happily ever after feels very, very insincere. And throughout the story, there's a lot of exposition dumps. So it really doesn't, like, it almost doesn't feel like there's even really quite a story here. It goes through the simulations of a story, but is it a story when it's got all these flaws? The acting, they have they're great singers, and I can see them trying to inject these undercurrents of sincerity, like they're looking at each other with like this intensity, and there's like maybe some tears welling in their eyes, but the material just doesn't serve them. So the acting feels very confined and sanitized, and of course there are some who even feel wooden at times. I know Gal Gadot is catching a lot of heat for her performance. She that's kind of who she is. That's who she's known to be, and unfortunately that's what she is here as well. So yeah, all this is to say that I think Snow White doesn't really commit to anything genuine, and so the story is almost not a story. Technically, I found Snow White to be very sterile, almost like impenetrable in the way it's sterile, how sterile it is. Whether we're talking about set pieces or tone or style, I found the direction to be very muted, very mundane, almost just non-existent. And like the cinematography has a lot of golden lighting, almost like too much, but still it feels very bland in the contrast. Like everything's just kind of the same color, everything's the same brightness. There's not a lot of variation within any single frame. That's what I mean by contrast, where it's like really, the blacks are really black, the whites are really white, the reds are really red. The light and the dark are really separated. It's just all kind of like murky. Because of a meandering structure, I found the editing to really struggle to build momentum. The sound has genre elements and a few moments of emphasis, which I think are nice. The music combines recognizable classics, which I don't know how much credit I can give a movie for that when they're just basically copying an old movie with classic songs. But the new songs are decent. I didn't dislike them. I thought they were even... I found them fine to sit through. The production design I really have a problem with, though. I found the production design to really try to be serving the merchandising over the actual story at hand. I think there was a lot of distracting homages where, the Snow White, she's dressed in the classic costume and she just looks like a woman in a costume. She doesn't look like an actual character in an outfit that she chose. It just looks like something she picked out from like a department store like Target or something. And I found it distracting. It's just, they're selling toys with that choice. They're not serving the story, the experience. And I also found the environments very artificial. There's just too much CGI everywhere, and it's very glossy, and it just feels very suffocating. No environment feels real. The cast has solid fame, solid fit, and good diversity. I'm really happy with that diversity. I wonder how sincere Disney is with this diversity, but I at least appreciate that they're doing it, whether or not it's for the right reasons. Overall, I just feel like Snow White really fails to justify itself artistically. Clearly, it was made for commercial reasons, and we'll see how much money it makes, but there's no artistic reason for this movie to exist. I think everyone probably already knew that before watching this video, but I'm here to confirm it. I don't enjoy sitting through movies like this. I don't enjoy talking this poorly about movies, but I need to call it like it is, and this is what I saw. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. If you like what I'm doing here, please feel free to like and subscribe. I also have an Instagram linked in the description. I'd love support there or here. Whatever you can offer, I appreciate. But at the very least, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye.